Most people imagine the Ice Age like humans huddled in caves, barely surviving, waiting for the glaciers to melt. That picture doesn't survive 5 minutes of scrutiny. A naked furless primate with a 1,350 cubic centimeter brain walked into a world where temperatures dropped 10 degrees Celsius below modern averages. No claws, no thick fur, no hibernation. And that primate didn't just survive the last glacial maximum, it expanded. It crossed continents. It created art in deep caves that required sophisticated lamp technology just to reach. Everything you've been told about how this happened is wrong. It wasn't fire. It wasn't hunting. It wasn't tools. 5 survival strategies. Each one should have failed. Each one looks insane on paper. And each one reveals something about human nature that we have spent the last 10,000 years systematically forgetting. Strategy 1. Fire that wasn't fire. In 780,000 BC, nearly a million years before the Ice Age even peaked, something happened at a site called Gesher Benot Ya'aqov in what's now northern Israel. Archaeologists found clusters of burned flint, burned olive pits, burned barley grains, all concentrated in specific locations. These weren't wildfires. Wildfires scatter randomly. These were hearths, controlled, contained, repeated. And here's where it gets strange. The charcoal analysis published in 2026 shows these hearths maintain temperatures below 500 degrees Celsius. That's not a campfire, that's an oven deliberately regulated. A technology that requires someone to understand airflow, fuel selection, and heat distribution over hours, not minutes. Now ask yourself, what kind of social organization does it take to maintain a controlled oven for hours while other things need doing? Someone has to gather the wood, the right wood, not just any wood. Someone has to tend the fire. Someone has to process whatever's being cooked, and all of this has to be coordinated. The first survival strategy wasn't fire itself. It was the network of people who made fire sustainable. Strategy 2. The invention that required strangers. The art at Chauvet Cave in southern France is 36,000 years old. Lions, rhinoceroses, horses drawn with charcoal and ochre on walls 400 meters inside a mountain. Reaching those galleries required lamp technology. Animal fat lamps with specific wick construction that produced enough light to navigate, but not so much smoke that you'd suffocate in a sealed cave system. Here's what nobody says about this. A single lamp bearer couldn't do this work. The artist needed both hands. Someone else had to hold the light. Someone else had to mix the pigments. Someone else had to, at minimum, watch for hazards. That means even the most intimate creative act of the Ice Age required a team. Now pull this thread further. The pigments at Chauvet weren't local. Some traveled hundreds of kilometers. The lamp technology wasn't invented on site. It was transmitted, taught, learned across groups. The most important technology of the Ice Age was not a tool. It was a network, a system for transmitting knowledge across distances so vast that the people involved may never have met each other. Strategy 3. The coast that saved everyone. During the last glacial maximum, 26,000 years ago, sea levels were 120 meters lower than today. Entire coastlines that once supported human populations are now underwater. For decades, archaeologists assumed the interior of continents was where the action happened. The coastal hypothesis proposed and dismissed. The evidence was literally underwater. Here's where the data finally caught up. A 2020 study from Arizona State University analyzed coastal sites around Africa and found something the interior model couldn't explain. Even during the coldest periods, the periods where inland sites show population collapse, coastal sites show continuity. Shellfish, marine mammals, kelp forests, resources that don't depend on seasons, that don't vanish in drought, that replenish on tidal cycles, not annual ones. The strategy that shouldn't have worked, betting your species' survival on a narrow strip of land between ocean and ice. The reason it did that strip was the only place on the planet where the food never stopped. Strategy 4. The tyranny that never formed. This is the one that changes everything you think you know about power. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm spent decades studying hunter-gatherer societies. Not modern ones trying to survive in a world that's marginalized them, but the deep pattern that appears in every ethnography, on every continent, across every environment where humans lived before agriculture. He called it reverse dominance hierarchy. Here's how it worked. In every band, someone would eventually try to dominate, to take more food, to control decisions, to assert status through aggression. And in every band, the response was the same. The rest of the group, not a leader, not a chief, but the collective would coordinate, ridicule first, then social exclusion, then, if necessary, coordinated expulsion or execution. This was not anarchy. This was the most sophisticated social technology ever devised, a system where the would-be alpha was always outnumbered by a coalition that had already decided that dominance was unacceptable. For 95% of human history, hierarchy was not the default. It was the thing we evolved to prevent.